Okay, today we're going to do keys to success number 77. We're kind of going to go back to basics a little bit today. We're going to talk about blood sugar. I'm Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner, chiropractor.
Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor.
And we've kicked this, or actually we were talking about doing this a couple months ago, but there's been so many requests for so many other different things. But blood sugar it's so hugely important to your stability. Every single cell in your body needs proper blood sugar, not too high, where you after you eat, where you get tired after you eat, things of that nature. Not too low, where you get irritable and shaky and you want to bite people's heads off and stuff like that if you don't eat enough. Every brain, every neuron, every non-brain cell in your body needs proper blood sugar to work properly. And it still is a foundation of what we do. And Dr. Gates felt like maybe we should emphasize it a little bit more this week. We have had a couple of questions that kind of highlighted that, even though we've been talking about doing this for probably a month or 6 weeks or something like that. So blood sugar and how easy it is for you to let it get away from you, particularly if you're like on your own private maintenance program now, or even if you're on the way through the program. It's subtle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just little changes in blood sugar can make significant changes in your recovery and in your maintaining wellness. So,
Absolutely.
Blood sugar.
So relative to blood sugar, most of our patients coming in here, bottom line, have some level of insulin resistance. Not all, but most. At least 2/3 of the population has it. And for many of our chronic pain patients, they have dysglycemia, as Dr. Rutherford is saying, blood sugar is a little bit high, dyslipidemia, so their cholesterol is high, your triglycerides are high, the HbA1c is high, we ran an LPIR score on you, it's high. In essence, you have blood sugar issues. And so when we start patients into the course with one of the 6 different diets we're using, all of them are low glycemic, and that does help. And that's the reason why a lot of people start to lose weight immediately into the program. On average, people lose about 10 pounds in the first week.
And there are people 20
who actually 25 pounds in the first month.
What low glycemic means.
Low glycemic means low blood sugar. And so as patients are going through the course, the blood sugar on trend is going to be low while you're doing our program. So let's say your resting glucose may have been, 110, 115 before you started with us. A lot of our patients are probably sitting around 85 when they're going through our program. So with that, it's important to acknowledge that, because as we approach week 8 and week 12, it just never ceases to astound me, the desire to get these foods back in. As a human being, what goes on in our brains and the emotional trauma associated with not eating these foods is just phenomenal to observe from kind of an outsider's perspective. Yes, I struggle with my own stuff, but just to see my patients on a daily basis and it is emotionally gripping for patients to walk into a grocery store and just not be able to eat these foods. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm just acknowledging a fact. And that fact is what causes a lot of people to want to start eating these high glycemic foods again. And as we start to do that and we introduce foods, all of a sudden we start having fun with baking, which is awesome. Trust me, I enjoy it. But it becomes a repetitive habit. Or patients are going to Haven on Earth and getting their tapioca bread. Well, that tapioca bread, in our opinion, is much better than a rice bread or a bread made from corn, obviously one from gluten. But that tapioca still has a lot of starch and a lot of carbohydrate in it. And so when you're eating that, you're going to create these large insulin responses that you haven't had in a long time. And you're going to like it. You're going to feel good at first. But through time, the trend that we've observed is that people start to put on weight again. They start to get fatigued after meals. I know personally, for example, I've been making my Dr. Gates smoothie with unsweetened almond milk. This week I switched to the regular almond milk because I was at Costco rather than my other place where I shop, Save Mart, because we had a big laugh about that. And with buying the Costco almond milk, I know.
We live like a block from each other, right?
And buying the stuff from Costco, all of a sudden, like falling asleep after I have a shake, which is not the point. The point of the Dr. Gates smoothie is for it to be low glycemic, high protein, high fat, good for your brain. And so I'm drinking the shake and all of a sudden I'm wanting to take a nap thinking, what's going on? Well, each serving of almond milk, which is like 4 ounces, I think, has 30 more calories. And basically, I think it's something like 12 or 15 grams of more sugar,
which is a lot.
Which is a ton. And so that's a big, big difference. And we're going to comment, somebody made a reference to changing the Dr. Gates smoothie online, and I'll talk to that person today, but we don't really want any agave syrup in it because it's just too high glycemic. And so we say all this to say, for many of you who are in the program, when you're going to approach introducing foods, be aware of this. For many of you who have introduced foods, and maybe weight is coming back on, and you're a little more fatigued after meals, or your neuropathy is worse, you really need to pay attention to this because you have to keep your blood sugar prospectively low. We're not saying 40 on the scale of, the regular scale, but we're saying you got to keep your blood sugar low within the framework of your diet, because if you don't, a lot of the same problems that you had when you came to us are just going to come back.
Yeah, and Dr. Gates, there's some physiological aspects to craving sugar still at that point in time. So, but it is emotional. I think that's where the paleo diet's strength is, even though the paleo diet is only one of 6 diets that we use. But it kind of communicates to you of like, in theory, this is in theory. And Lauren Cordain says, I didn't put this together saying this is the way that he's the paleo guy, that cavemen ate, but they needed to market it somehow. But it kind of gives you that idea of like, maybe it gives you that idea of, maybe this is the normal way to eat. And then you walk into the supermarket, Save Mart, right. and there's just this like rows and rows and rows and rows of food right in front of you that can't possibly be bad, right? Or they wouldn't be allowed to make it. So it's bad. And as you've probably heard, those of you who research your food, stay in the outer aisles type of a thing, because that's where the real food is. Not all that's real food. So our systems are very delicate. There's a reason there's 160 million chronic pain patients in this country. There's a reason that diabetes continues to explode and expand, despite the fact that our hospitals are having diabetes classes, and they're going to the gym, and everybody's going to make walking path. And yet it's still exploding. It's because we have the perception that all of this food is okay to eat because it's there, because somebody manufactured it. And most of that food is there because it is titillating your taste buds. I like that, titillating your taste buds.
Good, yeah.
A little alliteration there. And it creates a need for you to want to keep eating those foods. And then you have that perception of, well, everybody else is eating it, so it must be okay. Well, everybody else is sick too. 160 million chronic pain patients in this country is half the country. And that's been growing since I got into this. When I got into it, it was like 25 million. I mean, now it's 165 million. We have more functional medicine practitioners than ever on planet Earth. We have all kinds of people doing diets. We have all kinds of people doing nutritionists. We have this, that, and everything, and it's still growing. Diabetes is still growing. Everything is still growing. And this is a big reason why. This blood sugar is that big. It's where we started as functional medicine doctors. We didn't start with the gut back then. We started with blood sugar, because every single cell in your body and your brain needs proper blood sugar, not too high, not too low. Just think about it. You don't eat for a while. You get shaky, irritable like that. You eat too much. You go like, that's your brain. That is your brain going. That's in minutes. In minutes. That's how significant it is. Is it hard? It's hard from the perspective of you have to not eat the things that you have to not eat. I mean, so I mean, it's that hard, and we all struggle with it. I struggle with it a little bit now, not anything like I used to, but every now and then I'll like have a night where I go like, I'm going to eat this, and I feel it the next day. I'm like, and I'm not as sharp and all that type of stuff, and then I get a hold of myself and go on with it. This is not easy, but it is. But if you truly want to be well, you have to be different than all the other people that are around you. You have to be willing to go to dinner and be different if you're going to go out. And blood sugar is easily as important as gluten. Easily as important as gluten. To put the two of them together, and you've got a pretty good combination of being able to maintain your physiology. So I just think it's that important. So
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got the point. We'll see you next week for Key to Success number 78. Thanks for watching. Send us your questions.